Hey everyone, my name is Andrzej Krzywda. I'm one of the people in the RailsEventStore team, and I'm one of the people behind RailsEventStore. And I was just asked, why would someone be interested in trying RailsEventStore even if they know what is PubSub, because RailsEventStore can be defined as a tool to support PubSub. So RailsEventStore is just a tool, and it's very hard to sell you a tool without selling you the ideas that it supports. And I can tell you that RailsEventStore, my thinking is that it supports better code in Ruby code bases and Rails code bases. And by better code, I mean code like in the refactoring book by Martin Fowler. That's, by the way, the new JavaScript edition. So this is the first place where in 1999 I saw fantastic code. And since then, I was always trying to write such a clean code, but refactoring is usually at the lowest level. And here we are talking more about the architectural, better modularization level. So at some point in my career, I noticed that there is a people-ware aspect in software. And when we talk to, as developers, when we talk to business people, the whole communication between business and technical people is very complicated, and it's difficult because we talk in different languages, we talk in using different terms. We are technical, they are business oriented. We talk about lines of code, they talk about money earned, and this is a problem. So I was trying to find what are the techniques that can help me actually communicate with business better, at the same time write the code better. And somewhere along the way, I came at domain-driven design, and I learned this is the Von Vernon book. There is also the Blue Book by Eric Evans. And this is all about better communication, but there is lots of code inside. So lots of diagrams, lots of code. So you can follow the communication between business and the programmers, and DDD as something that grew on top of design patterns. You can say this is like the clear evolution from design patterns. There are certain techniques like value objects, like domain objects, like entities, like domain events, aggregates, how to protect certain rules, process managers, and so on. This is all helping us to translate the business language into the code and using the business language in the code. There's also domain-driven distilled, which is all about the high-level architecture, so mostly about bounded context, how your application can be actually split it into bigger pieces like that. And each of our Rails application and so on can be split like that. Which gets me to the point, okay, so what exactly is DDD? DDD is about reflecting the code, reflecting the business language in the code. It's also about certain technical terms, and you can introduce DDD, however, it's not required via so-called event-driven architecture. So you're using domain events to communicate between certain parts of the system. So this is the PubSub. However, PubSub is a more technical term for almost the same. And then once you have the communication, you also realize that at some point you realize that your objects, the business objects, they kind of serve two roles. They're about changing the data, protecting certain rules, and about exposing the data to display on the UI. And someone came up at some point and invented CQS, which is command query separation, and then Greg Young made it more precise and came up with CQRS, command query responsibility segregation. So I know it's a lot of buzzwords here and shortcuts, but CQRS is very important because it's all about splitting our models into reads and writes. So first we split the models into domains, and then we split into reads and writes overall. And once you have the reads separated from the writes, you have a nice objects for just protecting the business constraints. And the reads are mostly like the read models, just the view objects. So lots and lots of separations resulting in a nice code. And once we have domain events and the aggregates which protect the constraints, then you can actually build your persistence based on events because you can always event source. So now we are coming to event sourcing. I know a lot of hand waving in this video. So DDD, CQRS, event sourcing, event-driven architecture. And now we can talk about what RailsEventStore does, because RailsEventStore does provide us certain tooling for event sourcing. It provides us certain tooling for event store and event like the message bus. So, and for query events, you can grab the events in whatever way you want. RailsEventStore as a tool is just a runtime tool in memory with the persistence in the database. Obviously, it's just several tables in the in your own database. So we are mostly targeting those applications which are in one server. We are not really targeting, like, you can use Rails Event Store with microservices, but that's not the main goal, because that's just the infrastructure detail. Whether you go microservices or not, you can use Rails Event Store with microservices, but we focus on those projects where you want to have separation. Whether it's a microservice separations, it's a detail. So this is where Rails Event Store, I believe, it helps, because it kind of decouples the programmer from all the infrastructure problems, because we help you with building grid models, we help you with building aggregates, we help you with storing the events, we help you with subscribing to the events, we help you with defining the event handlers, so that you can focus on writing the business objects. And it's a very important rule. We care about writing the business objects without being infected by any library or any framework. So this is like our rule encapsulation. So this is probably in opposition to many other libraries. We try not to infect the business objects. We try to infect all the supporting code, but not the main code. So I hope it gives you some answer how this Rails Event Store. If you're fine with the way most of the Rails applications are created, you're fine with how Active Record is kind of everything. It plays all the roles. When your objects is all about setters, getters, and it's more like a data structure instead of an object. And if you're happy with how the Rails way helps you with, defining the business requirements in the code base, then probably Rails Event Store is not for you. Probably you don't want to apply DDD, CQRS, and event sourcing. However, if you struggle with bigger Rails applications and you see that there are certain typical problems appearing over and over again, and that you can't say that this is my domain code, or that you can't say you have clear modules which are not talking through the data, for example. So if you see those problems, then our experience shows, and many of our followers can confirm, that Rails Event Store as a tool to support those techniques really helps a lot. But Rails Event Store is just a tool, it's optional. You can build the tooling on your own, or you can live without such tooling. It's just we want to provide you with certain tooling, and it's for free. There's nothing is hidden here. Rails Event Store is totally free. So we just want to help you go DDD, go CQRS, go event sourcing, without building the same tool over and over again, because that's what we have noticed. So that's what Rails Event Store is to support you in existing Rails applications, and is to support you with new Rails applications. Okay, I hope this answered the problem, or answers the question why would you need to be interested in Rails Event Store. I think it's worth a try, and thank you.